Hey, what's up everyone? Mike here, and today it is another week, which means it's time for another business Q&A. Seriously, thanks to everyone who keeps submitting questions down in the comments. I really appreciate it. I love to continue the series and keep it going. I love the interaction and all of the views. It's been phenomenal. The channel is doing so well, and I can't thank you all enough. I really can't. So thanks for all the support, and continue to be active. If you have questions that you want to ask for the show, just leave them down below so we can keep it going. With all that being said, I do apologize about the inactivity lately. The reason I haven't been active is because I've been working like crazy on the website, and A, I'm a perfectionist, and B, I had no idea what actually making a website entailed. Needless to say, it's a lot of work, but it's coming out pretty good, so I'm really happy with the results right now. I'm going to continue to work on it. Hopefully it'll be up very soon. That way all the podcasts can be hosted on iTunes, on our website, and all the videos and all that stuff can be found in one place for new people to go and learn and really grow their business. So things are looking up. I've just been working like crazy on that stuff, and you know, the inactivity will kind of continue until it's finished, but once it's done, we'll be in a really good spot. That being said, there will be a podcast tomorrow. I originally wanted to release it last week, but I decided I was so behind on stuff that I was just going to save up clips and make a longer podcast. So it'll be tomorrow. I do apologize about that. We missed 2 weeks now, but I would rather miss a couple weeks and put out something that's really high quality than rush something out that's really not that good. I've always been that way, and I'd much rather keep it that way. But let's go ahead and get into the questions. Now, before I get into the actual questions, someone put a statement down in the Q&A last week saying that an item without a rank doesn't mean it hasn't sold. You know, they have reviews and stuff like that. And I'm not a big fan of misinformation in the comments. Normally I delete it. However, this person is active and he wasn't trying to be malicious. The fact is, if an item on Amazon doesn't have a rank, it has not sold. That doesn't mean it can't have reviews. How do you think private label items are launched? They get a bunch of reviews before an item sells in the hope that they start selling. That's the way Amazon works. You can review an item without purchasing it. People do it all the time. So the fact is, if there's no rank, it hasn't been sold. I even double checked on Amazon's policies. It says flat out, a sales rank is given to an item once it sells. So otherwise, if there's no rank, it hasn't been sold. If the rank is hidden on the listing for some reason or whatever, there's a rank there somewhere. You just can't see it. But to my knowledge, the rank is always right under the description. You can read it, look it up. If you just type in the ASN and camel, or it's the ASIN, I believe, and camel, you should see the rank anyways in the sales history. Turing Machine is back, and he says, how long does it usually take for Amazon to set your FBA products as active once they're receiving them? For me, it's typically within 48 hours. Usually it has been. There's one exception to that. If you get any of the busy hubs, it takes forever. I once had a shipment in New Jersey take 10 days. So it depends on where it's going. Some of those hubs are massive, like absolutely, you would not even believe how big they are. So your shipment could take weeks for them to even get to it. That being said, typically, I mean, it's pretty fast. I've had it done within 12 hours of the item showing up at the warehouse. So it depends on where it's going. If you decide you want to do inventory placement and you pick a good warehouse that's close to you, that's not some major hub, there's a potential that it could get checked in pretty quickly. Draxel says, what percentage of your eBay buyers your eBay buys are canceled by the seller, presumably due to the low auction price? Do you leave a negative feedback? Hey, thanks for this question. This is actually an original question, one I haven't seen around before. So I always appreciate that. A lot of questions get repeated. This is a good point. So I do snipe a lot of auctions, which means I get a lot of things really cheap. And on eBay, there are people that will cancel the entire auction if something doesn't sell at a set price. For me, that is 100% grounds for a negative every time. Especially if they send you some long message about how you know, their grandmother has cancer and they need the money and all this stuff, because the fact is, if you're going to sell on a platform, you need to understand how to use it. If you don't understand how to use it, that's your fault always. It's never the other person's fault. It's never eBay's fault. It's your fault for not taking the time to learn. So if you sell something for a price under what you want it, it's still your fault. You need to man up, take the blame, and you know, basically take the loss for the most part. The only exception to this for me as a seller, and I've canceled orders on people, but not for the same reason, is if you're taking a huge loss, one that's detrimental to you, and maybe it was because of a mistake or whatever happened, a glitch in the system, and you decide to cancel it, that's on you. Just understand that you're accepting the negative feedback or, hatefulness that comes towards you or whatever. Now, for me, I'm never hateful. I will message them calmly, explain the situation, leave a negative, and move on. It's happened maybe twice this year only, so it's not super common. Now, for me, the orders I canceled were because items double sold. So I had to not fulfill an order one way or the other, and I had to cancel items. And guess what? I got a negative on both, and that's the two negatives I have. And I don't blame them. That's my fault. I completely understand. I shouldn't have been cross-listing the way I did with the software that wasn't proven to work. Woody says, is there a way to get more free listing offers for eBay? I get some from time to time, but never to cover all of my listings. Hey Woody, great question. There's no way to really get more free listings. When you get those promotional emails, that's your opportunity. They're sent out randomly to different sellers at different times. A lot of times I don't get them when people in the group say they got them, and a lot of times I get them when other people don't have them at all. So they're kind of dispersed throughout sellers randomly, and I would say there's an offer every other month or so, which is nice. eBay did just change its policy for the amount of free listings people receive. I do believe the lowest level store now gets 200 per month, and people without a store, don't even quote me on this because I have no clue. I just read the email briefly. I have the low level store, so that's what I was paying attention to. But I want to say they upped it to 100. If you don't, I could be wrong there. Go check. Go look in your emails. They just sent one out recently, and Jason T. Smith was talking about this on a recent show. They upped the amount of free listings you get. So that's pretty cool, and I'm sure they'll continue to add more and more to promote selling. It seems like they're really becoming seller-centric in this last couple of months, and that's great for us. Paul says, what are the acceptable minimum margins when you're doing arbitrage? It would be nice to hear that someone would say they're okay with 20 to 30%. Paul, well, I'm not going to say that. I'm sorry. Hate to break it to you. My absolute minimum ever for purchasing things like retail arbitrage is going to be double my money. So that's a 50% margin. That's the bottom line. If I can't double my money, I probably won't jump on it ever. I always look at the starting price versus the finishing sale. This is really important. Now, when you break it down, it's a percentage, but it's a little more important to look at the number. For instance, I walk into a store, right? And this is a good example. Someone messaged me about this today. They were in the store. They seen a $700 computer, okay? It's on sale for $500. Let's say you can sell that on Amazon for $750. And we're going to take fees out of the equation just to make it simple for this example. So you're spending $500 to make $250. Now, to me, you need to look at that investment at the beginning versus the end means, and that's really important. So if I walk into a store and they're having this huge clearance sale on things that are 50 cents each, right? And I can sell them, let's say I can sell them for 99 cents or something, and after fees I make 20, 30 cents a piece, which is way off math-wise. Then that's a lot different than going in and buying a bunch of these computers, because the initial investment is really risky. If that price tanks, you're losing a lot of money. If the price tanks on an item you paid a few cents for, who cares? You cut your losses and move on. So for me, especially when you're getting the high numbers, you're looking for 3 times your money or more up there. Always, I always am. I won't go in and spend hundreds of dollars on one item. That's very risky, putting all your eggs in one basket. So rather than looking at the margin for each item, which is important, look at how much you can afford to invest and how many items you're actually getting when you invest that money. Yes, you could go buy that computer and turn your $500 into $750. Awesome for you. But that doesn't mean that's necessarily a good business plan if you can buy a bunch of smaller items and eliminate some of that risk that one item might tank. Justin says, do you have one of every console that you keep to test all of your different games, or do you just test them as you get the consoles? Hey Justin, I covered this before. In the past, I had a huge video game collection. Honestly, I don't have space for it now. And when I move, I really won't have space for it. So I don't have one of every console. Not going to act like I do. I don't. I have a PlayStation 2. I have a PlayStation 3 here. I think right now I have a Sega Genesis, a NES, and a few different Game Boys. That's what I have here now. I will typically save games until the console comes in to test them. A good example would be I recently had hundreds of N64 games, right? I picked out the ones that are valuable that I want to send to FBA, and I waited till I got an N64 in to test them. That's how I always do it. I just wait till consoles come in. I win a lot of auctions, and I buy a huge variety of games, which means I typically have all the systems I need to cover my bases at some point in time. If I don't have the console at least for FBA, I won't sell untested items just because it can be risky. I will hold on to the games for FBA until I get a console, or I will list them individually on eBay or lot them or whatever else. So to answer your question, I don't, and I wait till I get consoles in. That's how I've done it for probably at least the last year now, just because of space constraints. And when I moved my office last Christmas, there was nowhere to set up consoles. On my other video, I did a step-by-step easy packing list for FBA. If you're having issues with doing packing lists to organize your shipment, go check the video out. It's only a minute and a half long. Huge tip, save you a ton of time, and it's very, very simple. Now, there's a ton of comments over there about the fact that you don't need a packing list for FBA. And Bob said, FBA doesn't require a packing list. Are you doing this for yourself? So there's a ton of questions about it. You're right, FBA doesn't require a packing list. I never said it did. I just said this is how you make one. A packing list is not necessarily something that goes in the box. A packing list is to make sure you cover your bases when you pack. When I pack for FBA, I check things off in a list, make sure everything's in there, and there's no fuck-ups, because I don't want to spend tons of money and time packing things just to get them there and miss a bunch of units or mislabel units or whatever else could happen. No thanks. I have no interest in that. The packing list is about organization. Business is always something that should be organized. If you're running this big messy jumble all the time, rethink your system, make it organized, and that's the reason I gave this tip. Now, that being said, FBA will require very soon a manifest of what's going there and what boxes. Now, this is really important. They sent out an email about it. You can opt in now to get 10 cents per unit or something back. I don't remember what it was. It was a negligible amount. But they said beginning early next year, after the beta testing, it's going to be required that you say what items are coming in what boxes. I don't know the form they're going to use yet. Could be a packing list, could be an upload, could be very complicated or very simple. We don't know. But what I do know is something in that sort will be required in the future. So keep your eye out for that. Don't worry, I'll do a video on it when the time comes. But for now, I use it to organize for myself. And the last question is from David. He commented over on the FBA video. So thanks for checking that out, David. He said, can you explain to me your concern with commingled merchandise? All right, David, I absolutely love this question. So let's show it to you firsthand, my concerns with commingled inventory. All right, this bag here is Amazon. These 9 dimes are your units you send into Amazon, okay? So they're in Amazon. They're great units. They're clean, they're new, they look awesome. They're units that you respect and sent there, and they have the proper description. Now, another seller, they send this dime. It's dirty, it's disgusting, it's beat up, it's all destroyed and messed up, right? Now, when your units come in, Amazon checks them and accepts them. When this seller's unit comes in, for whatever reason, it slips past Amazon's checker inners or whatever you want to call them. They are there, and yeah, they catch a lot of stuff, but they also miss a lot of stuff. So they miss this unit. It now goes into Amazon. So now there's 10 dimes at Amazon, okay? And they get put all over shelves and randomly picked, and items are selling like crazy. Now here's the thing. You send in 9 awesome units, and someone sent in 1 bad unit. Now when they go to pull units, when you sell them, they just grab one at random. And I got a good unit. Awesome, I got a good unit. So they sent one of your items out, and it's the good one. And I got another good unit. Cool, everything's going fine. And then all of a sudden the third one they grab randomly, and it's the bad unit. But it goes to your customer. So now you sent in some very nice items, and a bad unit goes to your customer. Now the good news is they can't really leave you any negative because you could have it removed. You can just message Amazon and say, hey, I sent in good units. Why do I have a negative here? That's awesome. But the thing that will happen is you end up having to, give them a refund, and you don't have any control over the situation. So now you're out the cost of this 1 unit all because of one seller's negligence. Now that's the main concern with this issue. But it can get bigger, right? Because what if they sent in a counterfeit unit? And now Amazon's on your tail saying you sold something that's counterfeit. That really puts you in a situation where you can be in trouble real fast. So that's my concern with commingled. When you send in stuff to commingled, it all goes in one bag and they just pull it out randomly. There's no guarantee that your item actually goes to your customer. And because of that, there's a lot of risk involved. That being said, most sellers aren't bad, and most bad items might get caught. But don't be fooled. Things will get slipped by all the time. I mean, if you see one of Amazon's warehouse operations, trust me, things are missed. It's just a ridiculous operation that is pushing the limits on efficiency to begin with. So people need to work fast. People that work fast make mistakes, and people that make mistakes cost you money. Everyone, thanks for watching. I do appreciate it. If you like this type of video in this series, hit that thumbs up button. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. We have awesome, great, free business content every week, tons of it, and I'm working on an awesome website to highlight all this stuff as well. I do appreciate all the support. If you want to support the channel more directly, you can use the Amazon affiliate link down below in the description box. No extra cost to you, supports me directly. Really awesome. I appreciate all of you that do that. Seriously, from the bottom of my heart, thanks for being awesome. Have an awesome day. I'll see you all very soon.